On July 15, 1976, Ed Ray was driving 26 children home from summer school. Then, a white van blocked the road. Ed hit the brakes. The children looked up. Before anyone could ask what was happening, 3 masked men climbed out carrying shotguns. One walked straight to the driver's window. Another covered the side of the bus. The third aimed his weapon toward the children. Nobody moved. Then came the order. Everybody off the bus. Some of the younger kids thought it was some kind of game. The older ones knew it wasn't. One of the gunmen shoved the shotgun closer at Ed. With that, there wasn't much of a choice. One by one, 26 children stepped off the bus. Instead of letting them go, the kidnappers marched them toward 2 waiting vans. The doors slammed shut. Within minutes, the school bus sat empty on the side of the road. When parents arrived that afternoon, there was nothing to pick up. No children, no bus driver, no explanation. What happened next? Almost buried 26 children alive, and for the next 16 hours, no one knew where they had gone. The kidnappers never planned to hide the children in a house, or a warehouse, or anywhere police would think to search. They had spent months preparing something almost impossible to find. While helicopters searched the roads around Chowchilla, the vans drove deeper into California's countryside. Eventually, they turned into an abandoned rock quarry. The children were ordered out again. This time, they saw it, a steel hatch in the ground. Hidden beneath sheets of metal and dirt was what looked like the roof of a truck. The kidnappers forced everyone down into the darkness. Ed went first. The children followed behind him. Once the last child climbed inside, the kidnappers pulled the ladder back out. Then they covered the opening. Sunlight disappeared. Thousands of pounds of earth sealed them underground. The kidnappers believed they had built the perfect prison. By the time police discovered the abandoned school bus, the real crime scene was already buried beneath their feet. The heavy metal hatch slammed shut. Then came the sound of dirt, more and more, until every trace of daylight disappeared. For a moment, nobody spoke. The children looked around the cramped trailer. Mattresses lined the walls, a few containers of water, boxes of food. It wasn't an accident. Someone had expected them to stay here. The air grew warmer by the minute. Some of the younger children began crying. Others kept asking the same question. When are they coming back? Ed Ray didn't answer. Instead, he walked through the trailer, telling everyone to stay calm. Panic would only make it harder to breathe. Above them, the kidnappers drove away. The 3 masked men weren't experienced criminals. They were Frederick Woods and brothers James and Richard Schoenfeld. All 3 were in their 20s. Their plan had taken months to prepare. They believed kidnapping an entire school bus would force California to pay a ransom of $5 million, one of the largest demands in American history. The buried trailer, the hidden quarry, even the escape route had all been planned before the first child ever stepped onto Ed Ray's bus. Back underground, the temperature kept climbing. The roof began to sag. Dust drifted from the ceiling. One child screamed. Another grabbed Ed's arm. The realization spread from one face to the next. Nobody knew where they were. Nobody outside knew where to look. And every minute they remained underground, the trailer felt hotter. Ed studied the trailer one more time. The mattresses, the wooden supports, the hatch above them. If they waited, they might never be found. Then, 14-year-old Michael Marshall stepped beside him. And then, one of them made a decision. Ed Ray looked up at the hatch again. Then at Michael Marshall. Neither of them said much. They simply started moving mattresses, one by one. They stacked them beneath the ceiling. Still, they couldn't reach. Another mattress, then another. Children climbed on each other's shoulders. The trailer rocked beneath them. Michael stretched toward the hatch. It wouldn't move. Thousands of pounds of dirt held it shut. Someone whispered, "We can't get out." For a moment, it almost felt true. The heat was getting worse. The younger children were exhausted. Some had stopped crying altogether. Ed refused to let anyone give up. Instead, he searched the trailer again. Every wall, every corner. Then he spotted it, a long wooden support pole. He handed one end to Michael. Together, they pushed upward. Nothing. They pushed again. The wood bent. The hatch stayed shut. One more time. A loud crack echoed through the trailer, not the pole, the wooden supports above them. Dirt poured through the opening. For a split second, everyone froze. If the roof collapsed now, they would never get out. Ed didn't stop. Neither did Michael. They forced the pole upward again. This time, the heavy hatch shifted. Only a few inches, but it was enough. For the first time in hours, fresh air reached them. The children erupted, one after another. They squeezed through the narrow opening, climbing over dirt, scrambling past massive industrial batteries, pulling each other toward daylight. After 16 hours underground, the impossible had happened. Every child, and Ed Ray, were alive. The kidnappers had spent months building an underground prison designed to keep 27 people trapped. They were wrong, because while they were already planning how to collect $5 million, their victims had just destroyed the only thing their entire plan depended on: freedom. The children stumbled across the quarry, covered in dirt, exhausted. Some could barely walk. Others refused to let go of Ed Ray. A quarry watchman spotted them first. Within minutes, the impossible message reached police. The missing school bus, the missing children, the missing driver. They were all alive. As officers rushed toward the quarry, the kidnappers were somewhere else entirely. Their plan wasn't over. The $5 million ransom demand still had to be made. But there was one problem. Every phone line into the Chowchilla Police Department was overwhelmed. Parents, reporters, emergency calls. No one could get through. Instead of risking exposure, unable to make the call, they made a decision. They would wait, get some sleep, and demand the money later. Hours passed, then they woke up, turned on the television, and saw the headline they never thought was possible. The children had escaped, months of planning, buried beneath a single act of determination. The investigation didn't stop there. Evidence eventually led detectives to the 3 kidnappers. All were arrested and convicted. The ransom was never paid. But for the children, the story didn't end when they climbed out of the ground. Many spent decades living with nightmares, anxiety, and memories of the day they disappeared. Some later spoke publicly about the trauma that stayed with them long after the headlines faded. What began as an ordinary ride home from summer school became one of the most extraordinary survival stories in American history. The kidnappers controlled the road. They controlled the vans. They even controlled the prison. But they couldn't control the people trapped inside it, because the perfect kidnapping was undone by the very victims it was designed to break.